On our agenda for tonight is the minutes of our previous meeting from 8/17 of 2020, copies of which are in the packets. Any revisions or corrections to the minutes needed? Go ahead, Mr. Peckham.
I would move to approve with the change in the middle of, I'm probably beating Becky to this, in the middle of the second page, there's a sentence that reads, McElhaney, she was comfortable voting for this until it is more completed because it is too broad. And it probably should say, McElhaney said she was uncomfortable voting for this until it is more
That certainly would make more sense. So, okay, so we'll take a motion from Peckham to approve with clarification of those remarks as stated. Is there a second to approve the minutes? Second by Herbst. Further discussion or questions? Seeing none, members in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? None are opposed. That motion carries. Minutes are approved. Item number 2 is to consider approval or denial of various license applications. We do have one recommended for denial tonight, and let me switch back and forth in between them. Here we go. And so the recommended applicant for denial by our ordinance has the right to address this committee. Is Justin Zastro with us this evening? Justin Zastro? Last call for Justin Zastro. He will let the record show that he is not in attendance tonight. Also in the packet, you have a Class 2 special event for Harvest Fest, and you have a picnic license for the Luminary Walk at the Monk Garden, as well as a number of operator renewals. With that, I'll accept a motion to accept or deny licenses as recommended by staff. Motion by Wadinski. Is there a second? Second by Herbst. Further discussion? Go ahead, Mr. Peckham.
Fran, how is her issue separate from this? Or
She is item number 3.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Any additional questions or discussion? If not, members in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? None are opposed. That motion carries as well. Item number 3 is to consider a request for a waiver of Section 3.06.010, payment of taxes, claims, forfeitures, and judgments prior to issuance of a license or permit. Petitioner is Fran Howe, and you see that you've got her materials in your packets. She was not able to be with us last time, so we held this over. And I believe Ms. Howe is with us tonight. If you'd like to come up to the microphone and state your name and address. And I guess talk to the committee about the payment plan that you're proposing.
My name is Frances Howe. I live at 231 North 9th Ave, Wausau, Wisconsin, 54401. I was trying to see if I could get my taxi license so I can work and then make payments for the water bill.
Okay, now the accident that you were involved in happened in January of 2020.
Yes.
How long has the water bill, though, been accumulating? Has this balance accumulated since the accident?
Yeah, since last year.
Since.
Yeah.
Okay. And given a payment plan, if we were to allow for one, when do you feel that you could have the balance paid off?
Probably like 3 months.
Okay. Committee members, do you have questions for Ms. Howe? Okay. If not, is there a, go ahead, Dawn. Turn your mic on, please, sorry.
I guess my concern is if this could not be paid prior to now, how are you going to pay this amount in 3 months? It's a pretty high number. Are you working at this time, or?
No,
So how are you going to pay
I need my
for this?
taxi license to work
Okay, but how are you going to pay this balance?
by working.
Okay, and in order to get her taxi license, does this have to be paid?
No, you can allow for, the exception would allow her to make payments and receive the license without having a zero balance.
Okay, thank you.
So, and now these licenses normally, do they all renew July 1st, or are they staggered throughout the year?
They're staggered throughout the year.
Okay. I guess, committee members, then, would you like to also include in your approval, if you're moving to approve the payment plan, that the balance need to be cleared by a certain time, or that you would just not renew the license next year if there is still a balance, or would you like to attach any criteria? Jim?
I would suggest we have a monthly amount that we can agree upon, and as long as that monthly amount is met, the license could continue if approved.
Go ahead, Pat.
That was along the lines of what I was thinking. I think that Ms. Howe's proposal to have it caught up in 3 months might be a little ambitious. So I just, penciling in my head, if that's a thing, I thought that perhaps if she would pay $250 a month at it, that she would be able to take care of the current amount and whittle away at the back amount, and probably it might take her 8 or 9 months, but so along those lines, I think your plan B of just not renewing it if she isn't up to speed at, at the renewal time would be another option, but.
Right, the license is good for a year, and, if you obviously approve it by waiving the requirement that she have a zero balance, I believe the process would be that if the terms weren't upheld, you'd have to go back and revoke that license. Is that correct, Tara?
Technically, I think it should be revoked or not renewed if it's
Right.
next June, so.
So if you wanted to issue the requirement that you would not renew the license if this balance is not cleared within this license year, versus conducting a revocation hearing in month 9 or 10, that would give her a little more time, but then clarity about what we won't do if this doesn't get taken care of.
Yeah, could we ask her if that's all right?
Would that be amenable, Ms. Howe?
Yes.
So you'd have a full year, right?
Correct?
You'd have a full year to get all caught up, but you would need to be caught up, within that period, or the curtain comes down.
Okay.
I would move to go that route.
Okay. So that's a motion by Peckham to approve with the understanding that the license would not renew in 1 year if the balance is not cleared in full. Is there a second for that motion? Second by McElhaney. Further discussion or questions? Seeing none, members in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None are opposed. That motion carries. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Item number 4 is discussion and possible action on an ordinance amending 8.08.170 licenses. And you've got some materials in the packet about this. I've got to switch back between the packet and the agenda. There we go. Okay, and you've got a memo about this from Tara, and it's talking about licenses, specifically licenses for service animals, and then a few other clarifications to the license ordinance, kind of some housekeeping and cleanup type revisions. Does anyone have questions for Tara on these changes to the license ordinance? All these would apply to pet licensing. If not, is there a motion to approve? Motion by Wadinsky, second by McElhaney. Further discussion or questions? Seeing none, members in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None are opposed. That motion carries. Item number 5 is the operations report from the fire department for August of 2020, which is included in your packets. Anything notable on the report that you'd like to talk through, Chief? No? Anything that you would like to ask the chief about, committee? Go ahead, Mr. Peckham.
Yeah, I just had one trivia question here. What do you consider a significant EMS event? Is that when EMS goes out and makes contact with a patient and does something, or?
Where do you find that?
On the second page,
Oh, yeah.
section 3, significant EMS events.
Yeah, it's just responses. We were requested, so it's significant just because we were requested.
Okay,
Yeah.
so if you're canceled en route,
Yeah, it's still considered a response.
okay, you had to leave the station.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. I just was curious.
Go ahead, Jim.
Question regarding the factory fire last week, the Mine Tech.
Yep.
Media said there was a second response from outlying communities. What does that entail, and would we ever have to respond to those communities?
We do, yeah. Yeah, that's not actually reported out on this particular report, but we did, last week, we did have a.
Come up to the mic, chief, so they can hear you on the recording too and on the TV broadcast. Thanks.
We did have a significant event out there as far as a fire, and what you're referring to is a mutual aid box alarm system, and we put that into effect probably 4 or 5 years ago. And what that is it's got 5 different alarms on it, and the first box alarm, what it does is it lists out pertinent resources for any particular event. So there's several different cards. There's about 30 different cards, but one of them is a structure fire card. So what it does is it gives you access to different resources, whether it's fire trucks, so ladder trucks, whether it's engines, whether it's ambulances, whether it's rescue squads. So if we have a big crash, we might need more rescues, or if it's other command staff. And we have it listed in advance, so we just have to call. In this particular case, our incident commander called for a second box alarm. So it went past the first box alarm, so we got engines, ladders, ambulances, incident commands from area departments. And he actually went as far as calling a second box alarm. So that took us all the way to Merrill and all the way down to Stevens Point and all the way over to Marshfield to get additional resources. So it was that big that we needed additional resources to rotate inside the building and for different things like rehabilitation, those types of things that we needed to, for our particular department or departments going in. So I don't know exactly how many actual departments were there, but there were many. There was at least 10 or 12.
So what kind of resources, I imagine these larger communities have better resources than the smaller townships, so they use them instead, is that correct?
Say that again?
The type of resource you're looking for, imagine the cities, the larger communities have those resources where these townships do not, so you didn't call them, or?
Oh, we did. Yeah, Town of Wausau was there, Town of Maine was there, Safer was there, Riverside was there. But that wasn't enough, so we actually went beyond Marathon County. And it's usually logistically located, so we usually call on the initial resources, so the box alarm is usually resources that are very close. But we try to plan it out so it's actually circumferential, so we call, originally, there's not everybody in the area has let's say a ladder truck. So a ladder truck had to come to from Stevens Point on a second box because that was the next closest. And we normally only request one resource from every department. We don't want to diminish their ability to respond either. So what we do is we try to just ask for one resource. So let's say the town of Wausau we requested an engine from them and they sent an engine, all right? Because we don't want to diminish their ability to actually respond to their community either. And yes, in return, we're on the box alarms of many fire services in Marathon County and outside of Marathon County.
I guess that's what I was getting at. What would we have to send if we were called out? And we wouldn't diminish our department, so that's good to know, and it's good that we help each other out like that. That's great to know. So thank you very
Yeah.
much, Chief.
You bet.
It is good. We've received that help a number of times. We received it just in the last few years on the Days In Fire. I believe they received some assistance with downtown grocery. And just I think this last week, we were in that payback situation on a huge garage fire out in the country where there wasn't a hydrant. So they had to, create a pond and pump water. So amazing to see the collaboration that happens with public safety in our area. So, and it's always been my hope that someday local governments will work together as well as our firefighters do. So, but that's inspiring to see. So, anything else on the fire department report? If not, we'll place her report on file. Item number 6 is tavern activities, compliance checks, and law enforcement activities, and you've got that summary for this month in your packets. Any questions on that that you would like to ask the chief about, or anything, chief, that you would like to talk about? Neither one. Go ahead, Jim.
Looks like we had a little activity in August, which it looks like it was all taken care of very well by the fabulous people at our police department, and I want to commend the chief on Lieutenant Mike Felder doing a great job on this report. I know he did it when I was there, and he's still doing a great job. Thank you, chief.
Thank you. Yeah, we certainly appreciate this report. It really helps us figure out, what's happening at the various establishments, but it also helps us with a narrative to know which establishments are working with the police department to do it right and to really run a safe place and be better in terms of management strategies. So between that and the demerit point report, there's super helpful resources for us as a committee. If there's no additional questions on that report, we'll place his report on file as well. Item number 7 is communications. I have none. Does anyone else have any communications? If not, if there's something that comes up or anything you need to see on a future agenda, you guys know where to find me and let me know. With that, I'll accept a motion to adjourn. Motion from Wadinsky, second by Peckham. Further discussion? There never is. Members in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? None are opposed. We'll stand adjourned. Thanks, everyone.